And now, it's time for Levack and Goz to answer the question, why?
Why? Tell me why?
Why?
That is right. It is a Wednesday, so it's time to answer the question that's on everybody's mind. Why? Why are certain things happening in the world of sports? We're going to try to do our best to figure that out with you. Levack is not here today, so that means our guy, Zach By, will be stepping up, and he will be answering some of the questions for you here on this Wednesday edition of Why. And the first one I'm going to ask Zach is this for you. The New York Knicks are only a 1.5 underdog to the Los Angeles Clippers tonight. Why?
Well, first of all, Chris Paul is not in the lineup. He's got a surgery. First of all, let me rewind. He has surgery on his hand 2 weeks ago. They're not the same team without him. The Clippers have lost 5 of 6. And the same time that Chris Paul went out, Blake Griffin was implemented back after injury. So they're all trying to figure themselves out. The Knicks are desperate for a win. They just got embarrassed 48 hours ago. Typically with pro sports, if you get embarrassed nationally, the following game, you have a tendency to come back with a terrific effort. 48 hours ago, when they were getting blown out at home to the Lakers, that was an effort issue. You can be sure after being a talking point nationally, they are not going to have an effort issue tonight. I'm predicting a Knicks victory tonight.
Ooh, over the 5th best team in the Western Conference a month ago, talking about maybe the toughest test for the Warriors. You're calling a flat-out win for the Knicks.
Yes, I think the Knicks upset the Clippers. But truly, if you look at it, it's like trying to run a car without its engine. Chris Paul is the straw that stirs that drink. Without them, they're not the true representation of who they actually are. So I think we're going to see an elevated effort from New York tonight, a shell of themselves in the Clippers, and that equals a Knicks victory.
Knicks fans would have been a little bit more excited if more of our answers were about how good the Knicks have gotten because of that practice. The team's figured it out.
Jeff
Hornacek's figured out the problems with the team. None of that's the case. It's exactly what Zach laid out. Chris Paul is injured. Blake Griffin needs somebody to feed him the ball. The Clippers don't have the need for the game as the Knicks do. The Knicks have not gotten better yet. So again, get ready to fall into the trap, Knicks fans, tomorrow when we talk about the matchup that, wow, New York looked great against one of the best teams in the Western Conference. Look how this team's turning. Don't even start to buy into it. Understand the elements surrounding this matchup tonight against another West Coast team. How about this one? Siena basketball brought back Nico Clarith. Why?
Well, first of all, Nico's a tremendous scorer. I mean, you look at his freshman season, he was the 6th man of the year in the Metro Atlantic. He scored over 400 points, which was a freshman record for a school that has incredible tradition, has had great players come through there. So if you're trying to get over the hump, like Siena's had a really good month of basketball. They've won 7 of their last 10. They seem to be turning the corner. But if you're actually trying to get over the hump being Monmouth, the hump being an Iona team that has eliminated the Saints the last 2 years in the conference tournament, if you're trying to cut down the nets and have the students rush the floor and go back to the NCAA tournament, you need a X factor like Nico Clarith. And you take a look at the way that the Saints have shot the basketball from beyond the arc this year. The leading three-point shooters, Marquise Wright with 31 threes. Nico has missed the last month of the season. He's still number 2 on the three-point made list. He makes them more dynamic. And when you look at what Nico brings to the table and what he could possibly take away and look at it as like a scale, you have to be in the positive of what you're bringing. Jimmy Patsos and John Dargenio, the athletic director, have determined that Nico has begun to balance the scale out, that he's bringing to the table more than he's taking away, and that's why he's
We'll
back.
talk more about Nico Clarith in about 12 minutes here on 104.5 The Team, but I like that one part you brought up there at the end about three-point shooting. And the reason we offer up the question is because the attitude of some Siena Saints fans we heard a few weeks ago about Nico Clarith, and we'll touch on that again in about 10 minutes. How about this one? Rob Gronkowski gets away with partying at the New England Patriots parade, but doesn't face any criticism like other athletes. Why?
He's that one guy that we've designated as our good time friend, right? Not our friend that we're going to call when we're in a time of need. Not that friend that we're going to show up at his house when we don't feel like it. We're going to help him move. He's not that type of friend. He's the guy that is buying shots at the bar. He's our good time Johnny, and he's Gronk. He's a tight end, and he's always been in this box of great player and wild personality. And if once we've kind of penciled you into that, he's kind of dancing around in those parameters that we've given him. Like throughout the years, he's never been criticized. We've actually indirectly celebrated him for it. Right? Like people love it. It's like, oh, it's Gronk being Gronk, but it's like he's a tight end. He's a blockhead. We accept him for who he is. And I'm cool with you doing that as long as you're not the quarterback of my football team.
He is that one college friend that somebody knows. Like, let's call up T-Bone and see what he's up to tonight. Let's call up Flounder and see what he's in. Let's call up Gronk and have a crazy... That's what he's become. I'm starting to wonder more and more about this, though. Then I wonder if it feels like the Boston media. And I get how intense Boston sports fans are, where if you screw up or if you're not loyal to the city, they will pounce on you. If you're not producing, they'll let you know you're not producing. But when you said it's Gronk being Gronk, that brought me back to Manny being Manny. And Manny Ramirez, the things he used to do, if he's in New York or if he's in another city, Philadelphia, Chicago, he may not get away with that. But if you're producing and you're helping a Boston sports team win, they'll let you do whatever you want. Do you, man. Do whatever you got to do, Gronk. Do whatever you got to do, Manny Ramirez, as long as you're producing. Poppy, you want to swing the bat once in a while, take a few days off? Great. As long as you're hitting home runs, we will embrace you in the city of Boston.
You're so correct on that, because when Gronk is healthy, there's him at tight end, and then there's the rest of the National Football League. He's so far and away the best. He's the best tight end I've ever seen, and some folks would venture to say he's the best tight end that has ever played the game. But again, like you just said, it's all good. It's all rainbows and lollipops right now in New England. So of course it's going to be all good at the celebration.
The next one, Michael Jordan, the owner of the Charlotte Hornets, dismissed the Golden State Warriors' 73-win regular season last year and called it meaningless. Why?
Jordan's a hater.
Jordan's a hater.
No, Jordan's a known hater. I mean, this is the same Michael Jordan who would call out multiple people at his Hall of Fame induction, the same teammate that punched his former teammates in the face, the same teammate that used to prowl on his other teammates' wives. This is Michael Jordan. Like, he's more than the poster that used to be on your wall. He's an actual person. And the more we found out about Michael Jordan, it in a lot of ways, ruined that pristine image that we had of him, prior to the information age. He was this demagogue that we had in our mind. But when we actually peel back the layers and hear anecdotes about Michael Jordan, it paints a picture that isn't great.
And the reason this is a story now is because the Warriors owner felt hurt by MJ's comments. When you are a part of the NBA, and the guy, Michael Jordan, is saying things that you do, I don't really mean that much. It's not that big of a deal. That hurts a little bit because Michael Jordan's words still hold weight in that league years beyond when he'd actually been retired. But MJ's not right about this one. When you set a record in a respective sport, that means something. Did it help them win the NBA championship? No. But it still means something. No one else has ever done it before. Oh, and by the way, your team was the team who had the record. So don't even try to play it off like, it doesn't mean anything now that it's broken. It meant something when the 96 Bulls had the record.
Right, and believe me, if it didn't mean something to Jordan personally, he would have never addressed it.
No. Two more for you here. One involves me, so I guess you're going to have to answer on my behalf before I let you have my answer. I, as a Syracuse basketball fan, got excited about a proud program beating the Clemson Tiger basketball program at the buzzer yesterday. Why?
You know what? Because you are a reflection of the fan base as a whole. The same fan base that stormed the court in the last 2 weeks because they beat Florida State. The same fan base that is out of their mind because they beat Virginia. You have to pinch yourself and remember that you're Syracuse. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm better. We were in the Final Four last year. We've won a national championship in the last 17 years. We have Jim Boeheim as a coach. We have Carmelo Anthony as an alumnus.
Yeah.
We're better than this, guys.
Therapy, yes. This is what I need, Zach. That's why I let you answer on my own. I'm better than this. Gosh darn it, I'm just good enough to do it. That's right. The old guy, the old SNL character there. Hype yourself up. I was excited because I'm still holding a glimpse of possibility that the Syracuse team can get in the NCAA tournament. Because when your team is in there, anything can happen. And I'm not using that as a cliche. Literally watch last year's NCAA tournament. Syracuse gets in and gets all the way to the Final Four and plays a team from their conference in their Final Four matchup. And the last one here, Eric, our guy, Mr. Eric Hanneman, is producing the show today. Eric has shown up in full New York Jets gear, hat and jersey. One of his bosses...
Flat brim.
Flat brim, by the way.
Throwback.
Oh, yeah. One of his bosses is a Jets fan. The other boss is a Patriot fan. Why did Eric do this?
You know what? I think Eric is an interesting cat. We call him E-Train.
E-Train.
Eric once came in here with a Carolina jersey, a North Carolina jersey, and what was the
It was a Larry Bird jersey.
Oh no, it was a Larry Bird Indiana State.
Sycamores.
It is a Sycamore jersey, but in the front of the jersey was the UNC logo.
Yeah,
is that correct?
There was liner down the side.
And there was liner. So basically, it was one of these jerseys that got like screwed up in China that he paid like $4.99 for.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't find that anywhere
A
else.
split personality jersey.
You should resell it. Now, did you have any thoughts on the boss of this company being a Patriot fan days after them winning the Super Bowl and you coming in full Jet gear?
He was just here, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yes, that is your boss, Eric.
That's the president of the market, and you don't know who he is.
Good thing you acknowledged him when you walked by.
But Curtis Martin, former Patriot. Huh?
Okay, that's a bit of a stretch, but we'll let that go. Also, you said something during a break which blew my mind. You have other fantasy leagues. Like we talked about the challenge on MTV having fantasy leagues. Mm-hmm. Zach brought up how his wife is in a bachelor fantasy league.
That's official. That's an official thing through ESPN.
Oh, it is through ESPN. Yes. Thank you for confirming that. Are you in a bachelor league, and what other fantasy entertainment leagues are you in?
My friends and I, we've done different fantasy leagues over the years. Big Survivor fan, so I've done a Fantasy Survivor. I've done Fantasy The Voice. My friend's a big fan of The Voice. And then most recently... we've done an SNL type thing.
Saturday Night Live? How?
Fantasy, and just so our listeners are clear, we're talking about playing fantasy sports with Saturday Night Live.
Crazy.
Saturday Night Live. So you don't know what's going to happen necessarily on SNL.
Okay, so it's live, so that's that element
live.
like sports.
So right before the show, it's different every week. It's not like a season-long thing. You get to pick different people every single week. So if you come in last place, you get first pick the next week. You just pick anyone from the cast, and if they get in a sketch, it's a point. If they say if they say live from New York, it's Saturday night, they get a point. And then if they break character, they get someone else to break character, it's a point. And then also you get 3 celebrity guests. So if you think like Tina Fey is going to show up, you can guess Tina Fey is going to show up. You get a point for that as well.
This is amazing.
So on Saturday night, you watch Saturday Night Live, and you have like your roster next to you.
Yes.
And you go through and check the points.
Yeah.
This is mind-boggling.
Are you a real person? Is this a real person?
Real or mirage? This is
real or mirage? Eric exists.
Please, maybe Eric's not in the minority. Maybe Zach and I are just getting way too old. Let us know if you are in other entertainment leagues, if you're investing in these things. Eric's going to handle the calls for us at 476-1045. You can also hit us up on Twitter at Tom Goz, TOMGOZZ, at Buysline. Eric, I'll let you even shout out your Twitter because maybe you got some support out there in social media.
Eric H1045.
There you go. Eric H1045.
Wearing a throwback Curtis Martin, a flat brim old school Jets hat. Is Ja Rule your favorite rapper? Is TLC at the top of your playlist?
TLC.
Don't forget Ja Rule and Ashanti, always on time. One of the greatest jams of all time.